Am I live?
You're live.
I'm live. Okay, come sit down then. We don't have a cameraman today, so we're having to do this a little bit differently than we usually do. And then, of course, my computer decided to be super fun and stuff. So we're just playing with things a little bit. But thank you so much for joining us, guys. I am incredibly grateful to see each and every one of you, even though all I'm doing is truly looking at a computer. Darren Krosnick is on! Yay, Darren!
Hey, Darren.
How are your puppies doing? I didn't notice you coming last time, but I'm really grateful to hear that your dogs are doing really well, and I'm really looking forward to hearing some updates as to how they're doing. He says, "Hey team, awesomeness, ness." You're so awesome, Darren. It's so fantastic. Give us an update in the chat as to how your puppies are doing so that we can see what's going on. Thank you so much for joining us, Rick and Brenda and Chris and Dawn and Candace. Wow, all of you guys were just waiting for us to show up, hey? That's so fantastic. I really appreciate it. I hope all of you guys are doing awesome over there. I know some locations have snow and some don't at all, like Vancouver. We got a little bit cold for a bit, and it was sunny and quite chilly, and everybody was complaining about being extremely dehydrated and had flaky skin, and then the rain showed up a couple of days ago. It kicked in and
Took their flakes away.
people are getting hydrated, and the temperature's gone back up, and it's seeming a little bit more like a Vancouver winter. So it's absolutely fantastic. Darren is saying puppies are doing great, digestion issues gone. That's really interesting that you actually mentioned that as well, because I don't think a lot of people think about the digestion of their animals and, you know, whether they struggle with that or not, because they just choke their food back. Sometimes we have to slow them down.
Yeah.
And we don't really notice any digestive issues, and I don't know how much people go into analyzing the fecal matter of their animals and stuff to pay attention as to whether they're digesting their food properly or not. But if you're hearing gurgling and sounds and stuff like that when your animal eats and stuff, clearly there's something going on. So the fact that you noticed a difference is amazing. And 15-year-old Yorkie full of energy, that is absolutely unbelievable. 15 years old with a ton of energy. That just blows my mind. Like, I actually don't have a dog, and I haven't had a dog for a little while. I have birds, but I do plan on getting a dog again. I want a Doberman Pinscher, and I actually had one before, and I had her till she was 11 years old, and she got cancer in her back leg, and it literally dissolved. I'm not even kidding you, dissolved the bone in her back leg. I got to see the x-ray, and the bone was fragmented into hundreds of pieces. It was just horrible, and she couldn't walk on her back leg, and I ended up having to put her down. So, you know, to see what's going on with you, Darren, and to get the feedback from the people that have animals that are doing really well, you know, excites me to be able to get another dog, and to know that if I optimize my animal's glutathione right from the get-go, that my dog is going to have a longer lifespan, and I'm going to get more years with that animal than I have with previous animals, because I've had them my whole life, and almost each and every one of them has actually been taken by cancer. And it's been really difficult, and you can only do it so many times before your heart can't really do it anymore. So, you know, I'm really excited to know that I have something on my hands that can potentially prevent that and change it. So I'm so happy for you. Darren says, I'm using the product to, I stopped barking. Well, I'm really glad to hear that
We'll probably be hearing from Brenda
you've been
soon.
able to resolve that issue.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for less barking. Thank you so much for joining us, Kenneth and Darren and Shannon as well. That one's yours.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, not yet. He's serving the tea this time. So I'd like to take a moment to introduce Alan Ogden, our Glutathione Authority. And the reason that he is the Glutathione Authority is because of the fact that he has 40 plus years in the industry. He has a degree in pharmacognosy medicine or pharmacology. He's worked in geriatric medicine, pediatric medicine. He actually did some fantastic work with mothers that were actually all pregnant and wanted to have babies, supplementing them before he even knew about glutathione, and every one of those babies actually was born very healthy with no health issues and didn't develop many of the issues that children suffer with today. So I very much consider him to be an authority when it comes to that. And when I have a client that I'm working with that is thinking about getting pregnant or is pregnant, I absolutely consult Alan as an expert in that world. He's worked in oncology, and he's got four nutritional degrees. He also has a degree in energy healing or energy medicine. Back in the day, it was more acceptable to use the term energy medicine, which is why that term was used. But phenomenal amounts of knowledge, and one of the most important things to note is the fact that he does keep up on what is the latest and greatest in the science world and in the naturopathic world. He's always paying attention to what the newest multi-level marketing company is launching, because more often than not somebody's calling him to let him know. So he's paying attention to that. He's paying attention to the latest in science and what the best supplement companies are launching and doing research on, which is really amazing. And then of course PubMed and all of the latest scientific research. So the scope of what he is paying attention to is so broad, so much more than any naturopathic or allopathic practitioner that I've actually even seen. And it really blows my mind, and we both pass the information back and forth, which is why I know the scope of what he's paying attention to. So he absolutely stands in the right place, being able to say that he is the glutathione authority, and he is an authority on what is going on in the health world, to be able to support us and to be able to support each and every one of you, with what it is that you guys are challenged with in life, so that you can proactively live a long life, but a life with quality and vitality, which is what we all truly wish for.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That's true. That's really what we want. I had a friend who passed away at age 67, and what was interesting about my friend was he told me at age 65 he was going to pass away at age 67, because he said, what I came here to do, I'm done, and there's nothing, like, that's it. And I'm like, but you're really healthy, and you're like, there's nothing wrong with you, and whatever. Anyway, he passed away at age 67, though. It seemed to be his decision. But I'm really excited to be sitting beside Harmony. Harmony and I met over her situation with a concussion, a very severe concussion. She was constantly in pain. She was not able to function, not able to do her job, really struggling to provide for herself. And her I first introduced her to collagen protein, and collagen protein was instrumental in getting rid of pain. And then I introduced her to glutathione, and wow, boy, this brain just lit up next here, 1,000 lights over here. And she took chronic healing, she took emotion code, body code, clinical hypnotherapy, which she continues to do. She was sneaking this behind me. She wasn't saying anything, but she continued to take more and more hypnotherapy courses and really expand her knowledge in that area. And what she has done is actually, she's designed her own program for people to come to see her, which incorporates all of those modalities. She works with a mineral specialist who examines people, the mineral levels in their body. She works with me on supplements. She has got a tremendous, tremendous practice going here, and really helping people get rid of things that they need to get rid of, emotions and stuff that have been causing them to keep illness in their body, and tremendous changes in people. So I'm really proud of you. It's really, wow. I got to talk to one of her clients tonight, and she was like, yeah. Anyway. I know she talks lots anyway, but she was talking about her experience here with Harmony and how much that has helped her in her journey of life. So, you know, our goal for each and every one of you is that you would lead your best life, the best life you can. And There are certain things we can't change, that happened in our past, but certainly things that are emotional, some things that are physical, and as more and more, I was going to say technology, it's really not that. What it is, it's the collection of data. So I'll just give you a hint. We're going to talk about something really, really cool tonight. I'm really excited about what we're going to talk about tonight. You've never heard it before, so if you're clicking off right now to go do something else, you're going to miss this or come back and listen to it. But I was involved in a study. This is many, many years ago. This is actually what sent me to do my 4 years of pediatrics. They did a study. In the area where we live in Alberta, infantile asthma was the highest in North America. And so they were doing this study at one of the universities in Alberta, and what they discovered is that people with allergies like asthma, eczema, psoriasis, those kinds of things rarely, if ever, got cancer. Interesting statistic. Now, they discovered that because they started collecting and comparing data because they had computers to collect and compare data. Before that, everybody's medical record was just a medical record in, a big box, and some day it would get on what was called microfiche back in the day, and it would be stored somewhere, and it was a cumbersome thing. But as soon as technology came along, and you could start to do these, what's called comparative studies. And so that's what really interested me. We lived in this area of high asthma, and here's this sort of association or non-association or some link, some connection between asthma and cancer. And so really it inspired me to get involved, and for 4 years I worked with the OB-GYN in that area who delivered 98% of the children, and we monitored the food intake for the mom. If they came into the doctor and said, I'm thinking about getting pregnant, or if they came in and found out they were pregnant, we had an agreement that he would put them on a nutritional program that I had designed. He'd just send them to me. I had designed a nutritional program. So we did that for 4 years. We had over 100 children that were born in that 4-year period of time, and none of those, with the exception of one who was born with infantile asthma, everyone in her family actually had infantile asthma. So that we were hoping that wasn't going to happen, but by the time she turned 2, all of a sudden she was asthmatic. And so maybe that's environmental, not sure. But we certainly we never had any kids with autism, ADHD, ADD, any of the things that people deal with now. And so it was great. 4 years of working in that area. Then he actually went off to another area of medicine, and I went off to do something else as well. So it was just a great experience. But anyway, tonight what we're going to talk about is inflammation.
Before we do that, there's a couple of questions that have come through.
Okay.
Darren is actually asking us to speak about menopause. He's saying that it's not his problem, it's for his wife.
Well, if his wife's going through menopause, it's kind
if he's going through menopause, we have something to discuss here, Darren.
Yeah.
But we would actually be happy to discuss that, because one of the things that we just recently did a little bit of reading on touches base on that. But absolutely, it would be great to talk about menopause in regards to glutathione and how cellular health and hormonal health kind of have a little bit to do with glutathione.
Yeah, they do.
There's definitely some synergy there.
There's definitely some synergy, yeah. So we'll do that.
The other one is, Darren is asking if glutathione affects your HDH levels. This may be a stumper. This may be one that we have to go back to.
Think about that. Yeah, I'll you know what? We'll talk about that in the context of some amino acids that actually support HGH levels. So, yeah, there's not a strong connection, but there's certainly a connection in the fact that glutathione extends the lifespan of nitric oxide in your body, and that's a huge component in that particular level. And so the more nitric oxide you can have, the greater activity of the hormone. So it's kind of a distant relative, but yeah, I have to kind of think that through, and I'll find out if there's any common enzymes involved in those pathways? That's a really good question. And it's one actually that is now getting more play because there's people promoting products in that area. So thanks for the question. We'll check that out and we'll get back to you. But just off the top of my head, there would be a relationship between the amino acid availability and the glutathione making nitric oxide last longer, and that enables the amino acids to do the thing. So that hormone is very dependent on certain levels of amino acids in your body. So we can get into that a little deeper. That might be a show on that one night.
Yeah, I love it when you guys come up with questions, and you know, if there's supplements that you're looking at and you're curious as to whether you know, it's going to help you, or maybe if glutathione, optimizing your glutathione already takes care of that. Feel free to ask us those things, because, you know, I've read about certain supplements and everything and gone back and said, you know, because I don't know it for myself. Alan has been researching glutathione longer than I have, and I'll bring a product to him and say, is this synergistic or is it redundant? Is the question, and sometimes he'll just say, no, it's redundant. You're already optimizing your glutathione and your body's doing that, and it's a part of the processes that glutathione actually takes care of, so you're wasting your money. Or sometimes he'll say that's synergistic. They work together, so it's actually a good thing to do. So if you're having questions about that because you're not quite sure of the scope of what optimizing glutathione covers, as it does, you know, does take care of, or I should say are in charge of 250 processes that our body actually has to protect us. But on top of that, you know, it's in the cell protecting cellular health, it's in the liver helping to detoxify, it's helping your brain have high-speed internet, it's actually how our body communicates. I mean, the list goes on, and we're still researching. There is research going on today with new discoveries that are constantly happening. There is a doctor, and this is all he loves to do, and he is being funded by the government, and he is constantly collecting patents. It's his favorite thing, and he's going to do it till he dies. And we appreciate all of the intellectual property that he's actually creating to support the knowledge of what glutathione does. But just understand that the scope is so grandiose that when you guys come with us and ask us something, there's a chance that there might be actually something that we don't know, and that'll allow us to be able to go back and check on that. So please challenge us.
I speaking of redundancy, I want to just, this may be a segue into this. I didn't know how I was going to work this into the conversation tonight, but this might work perfectly. For those of you who are interested in the MTHFR gene expression, just so you know, putting folate into a product does not change the pathway by which folate needs to be activated by exactly the same pathway as folic acid. There is no difference in the multi-step pathway to get down to 5-methylfolated. So you have to, like, I know people look at something and say, oh, that has folic acid in it, it's no good. And then they'll look and say, oh, that has folate, it's okay. Just so you know, the pathway is exactly the same for folate and folic acid. Now, folate does have some perceived advantages in the fact that it comes from natural products, mostly vegetables. But just so you know, they both go into this pathway. It takes 5 enzymes actually to make that into an active product in your body. And if you have low glutathione, it doesn't matter which one of those you use, which product you use, folate or folic acid, it has to be methylated, and glutathione is responsible for the methylation process. So that's just something that I get asked a lot about, and there's a lot of misunderstanding in the community about that. There's people out there promoting folate, and they're bypassing some really definite science there. When you go read on the internet, it doesn't say anything about the pathway, it doesn't show the pathway, it just says, you know, that it should be better and this and that. They go through the same pathway. So anyway, that's not what we want to talk about tonight. So we want to talk
One
about
more question.
Okay.
They're really leading the conversation tonight. Rick is asking if glutathione actually helps kids that have cystic fibrosis.
Absolutely. Yeah, please. Yes, please. chronic inflammation with cystic fibrosis, chronic inflammation. And this is probably one of the things. Now, I didn't realize it at the time what we were doing, but I had a little guy with cystic fibrosis, and he lived in the country. My store was one of my drugstores. Well, all my drugstores were in country locations. He lived out in the country, and when he moved from town out in the country, his diet changed. And with the dietary change, his mom started getting raw milk. And his condition improved dramatically. That was when you could still get raw milk. We can't get raw milk in Canada any longer. We have to go to the US and get it. We can bring 4 liters a week across or something. But he started drinking raw milk. So what's in raw milk is actually activated cysteine, the bonded molecule of cysteine. It happens to be in raw milk. And when they process the milk, it denatures it. It takes the immunological activity out of milk. And of course, pasteurization is a legal requirement. But so that was something that I'd kept in my brain for years. Like this little guy, all of a sudden he was doing really well, and he was doing well at school, and everything was good. Then his mom and dad had some difficulties, and he ended up moving to the city of Calgary, and they didn't have the same access to the same food that he had when he was living in the country, and guess what? His condition worsened. And so I've always kept that in the back of my mind, just as when people ask me about kids with cystic fibrosis, just his journey and the dietary changes and what helped him, and literally that could be ascribed to the fact that he was getting precursor amino acids when he lived out on the farm, which he wasn't getting when he was in town. So, should we talk about sentient cells?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about something tonight. But first of all, I want you to get this picture in your mind of what a cell really does in your body. I've talked about it before, and if I had a little board here, I'd just draw it out in a little circle. That would be a cell. And a cell really has 3 functions. Basic. We're not going to talk about mitochondria and all that kind of stuff. Oh, we might a little bit. But a cell has 3 functions. 1, produce energy. So you got to warm your body up to 98 degrees. If you're not 98 degrees, you're sick, right? Or if you're 100 and some degrees, you're sick. So your body monitors that very, very closely. Your temperature is monitored very closely. If you're out in the cold, all of the blood gets sucked from your extremities into protecting your organs to keep you alive as long as you can. So your extremities will freeze long before, the interior of your body. And so your body monitors that very closely, the heat in the cells, what the energy production to keep your temperature at a certain level. So that's job 1 for cells, is manufacturing heat. Number 2 is to manufacture protein. Every movement we make, so my hands are moving, my eyes are moving, my lips are moving, the movements we make are all literally, if we could look at it at a microscopic level, it's an enzyme comes along and tells a protein to change its shape. I'm putting it in as simple language as I can. Even if somebody says, well, that's not true, it's a neurotransmitter. A neurotransmitter is actually a type of protein. It'll come along and it'll tell, so neurotransmitter comes from the brain, comes down, and it tells cells, it tells proteins to adjust in a certain way so that I can pick up this cup of tea, or I can reach out and grab something, or I can do things. So movement is the adjustment of protein in our body. When we lose mobility, that means we are losing the basic structure of collagen in our body, which is not allowing the movement of the muscles, which should move freely. We're losing the collagen structure. We're losing the strength, the tensile strength between the bones and the muscles, and hence we tend to not move as much. And when we increase our collagen, we actually strengthen the bones, we strengthen the ligaments and the tissues, and we allow ourselves to have better, more pain-free movement. So, number 1 is heat. Number 2 is protein, which are used for everything. Some of the proteins our bodies makes are we would call them enzymes. We call them digestive enzymes, or we call them insulin. So those are all proteins that are made in our body. So our cells make heat, they make proteins, and then they replicate. So when they replicate, we get daughter cells. They're always called daughter cells. That's it. It's the way it is, guys. Sorry, we got left out. They're daughter cells. But the cell that divided, when that happens, there's always leftover material. Now, in a normally functioning body, that leftover material should be gone, and it should be just swept away. If it isn't swept away, it's actually incomplete protein, and incomplete protein in our body always causes an inflammatory response. So these are called sentient cells. Now, sentient cells can come from other things too. So we could have a toxin in our body, for instance, which is killing cells off. So it's causing cells to literally die. Instead of replicate, these cells are dying. And that material that's left over, now you have a cellular death that was not in the natural cycle of things. Now you have material left over in your body that can accumulate, that also contributes to sentient cells. Cells that should be, it's material that should be cleaned out of the body. It's yours, it's organic material from your own cells, and it should be cleaned out. So as that accumulates, that all causes an inflammatory reaction. So a recent, well, more than one, but a recent very strong clinical trial has indicated that these sentient cells that are in our body, remember we talked about that in 2004, Time Magazine, headline article, inflammation, root cause of all disease. So then we went off and we, well, how do we reduce inflammation? Well, very first thing we did was we started pouring antioxidants in the body. We wanted to reduce the oxidative load in our body. So all these antioxidants came out of the market. All of a sudden, everything was antioxidant. And I'm just going to give you a little example of how antioxidants kind of work when you throw a whole load of antioxidants into your body. Think of a cup, like this teacup. So this teacup's about half full. If I was to take a latte mixer and stick it in there and turn it on, it might throw tea out of the side. And that's literally what antioxidants are kind of doing in the body. They go in and they cause a response in your body. So when you have high antioxidant levels, you're going to naturally trigger some glutathione, you're going to naturally trigger some other things in your body, and you're going to try to control this whole business that's going on. So there's people that actually sell pills that are highly antioxidant, and they say, oh gosh, these things increase glutathione by 300%. That's what's going on. It's like they stuck a latte mixer in, and they stirred up something, and the glutathione has to come up to control the reaction, because glutathione is the master antioxidant. So what happens when we have low glutathione? And we have all this material that's in our body, because glutathione is responsible for detoxification, and it's responsible for the inflammatory response, as well as our immunological response. So now it's got all these jobs it needs to do. So while it's really back here fighting the inflammation, you become more subject to other illnesses. So, as people get older, we used to call it the pyramid effect in medicine. So you get on, when you're on one medication, pretty soon you're on 2, pretty soon you're on 4, pretty soon you're on 6. It was just this kind of pyramiding effect, because more symptoms would appear, and lots of people blame the medicine for that, and there might be just cause in blaming some of the medicines for that, but literally we didn't understand that when you start putting these things into the body, what you're doing is everything that goes into your body, glutathione has to have a role in detoxing it out of the body. So you're occupying your immune system. Lots of drugs are actually causing a decrease in your body's ability to respond in an immune way. It opens us up to more disease. Same with these sentient cells now. We have all this material that's in our body that shouldn't be there. It's floating around, and our body is causing inflammation. So
I want to go back and explain the sentient cells a little bit more simplistically to
Sure.
Support you guys understanding what that actually means. So when we're really healthy, when we're like 19 years old, Our cells are duplicating and being created and dying on a regular basis, and we're flushing these dead cells out on a regular basis without any thought. The body is functioning in its prime and there's no issues. So as we get a little bit older, I'm sure you guys have noticed that in the wintertime you're significantly more flaky and you're starting to get, dry skin, and you're starting to notice that when you're not hydrated enough, you're getting cramps in the arch of your feet, or your calves are cramping, like your muscles are seizing on you, and things just start to not function as well as they're supposed to. And the cell duplication and what's going on the inside of the body is actually starting to slow down and have a difficult time doing what it typically would do when it was in its peak. So these cells that are essentially supposed to be dead and then be flushed out of the body end up staying and causing problems, and what the scientists actually call them as zombie cells. So if you think about about a zombie, what does a zombie do? It's the undead, and it kills other people. It eats brains. They eat brains. So think about a zombie epidemic going on in your body. And that's basically what's going on. These zombie cells are going around and actually killing and causing problems and creating dis-ease in the body. And it does speed aging. It actually creates aging and causes problems. And so if you want to learn how to age smart, what we actually need to figure out how to do is help these zombie cells to get out. So we have to find out what it is that kills the zombies.
Yeah.
And the science and the research that's been done as of late has actually, there's been a significant amount of research that's been done that has figured out how to get rid of these zombie cells. But what Alan is talking about, it's very, very new, and just since like 2015 they've discovered this. And I know that a lot of it can sound like really sciencey, and you're probably like, what are you talking about, sentient cells? Are they like angel cells, or like, because when you think sentient, that's kind of where your head's going. That's where my head went at first. So I just want to give you that little bit of an analogy just so that you can get a visual as to what's going on in your mind. Because as a hypnotherapist, I know that when I'm working with my clients, everything is about creating visuals. The subconscious mind works in visuals. So if you've got that to attached to, it'll make it so much easier for you guys to understand this. So just imagine these half-dead zombie cells causing problems in your body.
There's like a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, zombie apocalypse in your body.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it starts at around age 35, and then goes on from there.
Yeah, that's a really cool picture. I like
so
that
I'm
picture.
over the edge.
Yeah.
I'm 39 years old. I'm over the edge, so I've got some zombie cells in there causing some problems. So this is something that I'm actually incredibly fascinated with.
Yeah, it is really fascinating, and the research is really fascinating. And of course, the drug companies are hard onto this, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're very, very hard onto this. They want to make a drug that would, come in. It's so interesting because you find this out, and then they're like, well, if you just get a drug, and actually there's a couple drugs that are also used in chemotherapy that they're thinking of using to remove these cells out of the body, these zombies out of your body.
The cool thing is that the drug by itself that they actually used for chemotherapy didn't work effectively on its own, and they actually had to use a naturopathic ingredient called quercetin in combo with the drug in order to be able to actually get the effects that they wanted, which is interesting. And then of course there is research being done by amazing people that are specifically focusing on the naturopathic side of things and how to get the results that you're looking for. And of course there's one aspect of it that really excited me, but I'll wait. Alan knows what I'm talking about because I was reading it and I was texting him so excited.
So ultimately what the research has shown is it's really beneficial to have an antioxidant component to removing these cells. And let's remember that glutathione is the mother of all antioxidant activity in your body. So those of you who are already currently taking a product to elevate your glutathione are ahead of the game. You're already ahead of the game. That is one thing that the researchers left out, but it's just one thing that I'm going to put in there, because anything to do when you use quercetin, when you use alpha-lipoic acid, when you use vitamin C, when you use any of those things, their activity in the body, the length of time they're effective in the body, is ultimately dependent on your level of glutathione.
Yeah.
So, step one in this whole job of getting rid of the zombies is going to be to optimize your glutathione. That is going to be step one.
And it's a detoxifier. Glutathione is the thing that actually helps act as a carrier for taking toxins and dead cells and things out of your body. So it's phenomenally important in this process.
Yeah. And so, so there's really great research. So what they found in mice studies, I'm not sure what you'll interrupt me if I say something different. Okay, we're really excited, because this is just brand new stuff, right? I mean, this research has just been published, and we got our hands on it, and so I got it to Harmony right away. I was like, I told you right away, right?
Yep.
I was like, I gotta get
this is incredibly exciting information.
Yeah, I gotta get this to you. I'm gonna read it right now, and I'm gonna get it over to you.
We're really, really passionate about everything that we can do to age smart and to be proactively healthy and to live a quality life, and to know that there's one more thing that we can do to support our bodies, literally slowing down the aging process. I mean, they were saying that aging is something that we can effectively almost kind of prevent, which is really a strong statement. It is an incredibly strong statement. But I was just thinking about this the other day when I was looking at my birds, and they don't age. They don't physically age. Their feathers don't go gray or white. They don't lose the pigmentation in their feathers, and then their beak starts to wilt and not be as strong anymore. You don't see aging signs in birds. They just get to a certain age, and one day they pass away. But there are creatures that are in the animal kingdom that don't go through an aging process. And I think the research and the information that they're getting as a result of studying these animals that don't age is next leveling us having an understanding as to what the aging process is and what's the difference between us and these animals that don't show signs of aging.
Yeah, I mean, animals in the wild don't get cardiovascular disease, diabetes, arthritis. They don't get any of these things. So
the only animals that actually get these diseases are animals that have been domesticated and are being fed horrible, horrible diets that have been made up by huge corporations that are just pumping their food full of all sorts of crap. So hence 2 for 1, your animals dying of cancer and stuff. It's just tragic.
So glutathione, along with some antioxidants. And what the research is telling us is that in the mouse studies, and this was a mouse study, but this mouse study, there's different kinds of mice studies, but this one was really targeted towards elderly mice. So, and there's a lot of similarities in how a mouse ages and how a human ages. So even though we're not the same creature, but there's similarities in the pathway by which we age and the things that show up as we're aging. Like Harmony was saying, but mice and rodents do have a path. You can tell an old rat, you can tell an old mouse.
Yeah.
And they have an aging pathway. So they took older aging mice and did these experiments. So they did some of these drugs on them, and like Harmony was saying, the drugs weren't really that effective in mice. So, but as soon as they added in natural ingredients, the mice lived. Are you ready? 19 to 36% longer. 19. So just get that number in your mind. So it wasn't like 0 to 19 or 0 to 36. It was minimum 19%, maximum 36%. So there was a definite increase in that animal's ability to sustain a healthy life for longer. And one of the reasons we use rodents for these tests is because they do have a fairly short lifespan, and quite measurable, and so and then that's significant. So now just think about this: that glutathione, when glutathione was first being tested at McGill University, this is many years ago, this is in the 70s and 80s, when they first discovered how to optimize glutathione, the mice were living 30 to 50% longer.
Yep.
So
not 0 to 30.
Not 0 to 30.
30 to 50.
30 to 50% longer. Now we have something, they did not test for glutathione at all when they're doing these studies. Imagine if you could have something where you're optimizing your glutathione and you're using some of the natural product that is getting rid of the zombie cells. What that would do for you. That's why we're so excited. I think it's just an incredible thing. And one of the researchers was really pointed in outlining the fact that he considers aging a disease. He looks at it as a disease, not as something that's natural, something that should happen, and this is a process that we go through and ultimately we pass away. He looks at it as a disease that we can catch any time in life, or we can, due to environmental factors or whatever, but our aging process is actually, this is his words, our aging process is controllable.
Yeah.
There are factors that allow us to modulate the aging process. That's what they've discovered, which is why I'm so excited, and I'm sure might be one of the reasons why you're so excited.
It's incredibly exciting to me because of the fact that I have been really focused on aging smart since I was in my 20s. I think, that was one of the things that made me really passionate and good at what I did as a skin therapist, because I was, really looking at all the things that I could do to work with my body. So a lot of girls were, they were actually doing anti-aging or using anti-aging products and doing things before they were supposed to be doing it. And I was like, okay, it makes absolutely no sense for me to be using anti-aging products when my body's already in its prime. So what I should be doing is working in harmony with my body where it is right now and supporting it as I work. So as I was using products myself, I was using antioxidant like toners and stuff like that. So I would use one product that was kind of more from the Age Smart line of products, but then I was using stuff to support my cell renewal rate, because your cell renewal rate slows down at 25. So I was doing stuff to speed that up. I was keeping my skin very hydrated. I was protecting it so that it wasn't being exposed to damaging UV rays, which creates oxidative stress in the skin. So I was supporting all that kind of stuff, and then of course once I got into my 30s, I knew that collagen production was starting to slow down, so I was looking at how I could optimize that to support my cellular health and the health of the new cells that were being created in my skin so that they would be live and juicy and amazing and plump. So I've always really been thinking about that kind of stuff, and then all of a sudden this new science comes in with something that I didn't even think about, that I have these freaking zombie cells in my body. I have a zombie apocalypse going on in my body, you guys. That is so dope. I actually didn't even tell Scott about that because he has a plan for when there's a zombie apocalypse. And so we need to discuss the zombie apocalypse that's going on inside our body.
Because it's going on right now.
Yeah.
That's
but
happening
it's
now.
to know that that's a thing that's going on, and that the science is there, and we know that there's stuff that we can do that can actually support defeating that zombie apocalypse, and that I've got another thing that I can do to age smart, is incredibly empowering to me to know that, because I'm just about 40 years old, you guys. Like in about a little more than a half a year, I'm gonna be 40, and I look pretty freaking fantastic. So I'm looking at this and going, okay, cool, so I've got one more thing to put in my tool belt to support me literally slowing down the aging process and looking beautiful for as long as humanly possible, which is so cool. But one of the things that was really amazing was they talked about one of the naturopathic ingredients that they actually extracted came out of black tea.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You don't even know how exciting that is to me, because of the fact that I'm obviously a tea addict. You guys know how much I love tea. And there is a property or an ingredient that they're extracting out of black tea that actually helps with the zombie apocalypse. It is so exciting, right?
It is. It's so exciting. I just want to, in the black tea thing and the study, actually they made mention of this area in the world where these people not only drank black tea, but they used the tea leaves, and they used the whole bush for stuff. And many people there lived well over 100. And so, now they're looking back and going, oh gosh, maybe it's this ingredient that, they're chewing the leaves or whatever. They were getting this ingredient out of, nobody really knows yet. But anyway.
Yeah, the medicinal properties of teas it goes back thousands of years.
Absolutely.
There are so many cultures that had a shaman or a medicine woman or whatever, and she would use tea leaves and, grind down plants and stuff like that. We have to remember that at its roots, tea is plants that are actually being dried, and we drink it now, as a leisurely thing and a way to socialize and stuff, but for thousands of years, it has been plant medicine.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So it is absolutely, it's imperative to be looking at the medicinal properties of that, and the fact that it actually is now being proven that elements of it do help to slow down the aging process and help us to age smart is phenomenal.
Back in the War of 1812, when Canada beat the United States, and the United States got the hint not to try again.
That's because we maintain how demure and polite we are, and we're just harmless, so they don't bother.
Yeah.
They like to forget about that time that happened.
They don't like to talk about it.
We're just the friendly neighbors to the north they know nothing about.
Yeah. They don't know. But anyway, what's really interesting is during the War of 1812, actually, there was a medicine that was developed for soldiers in the field. And like the sergeant or whoever, the medic or whoever, would always have this bag, and it was something that they would make a tea out of. And they had two different teas. One was for somebody who was not going to recover, and they were allowed to assist them exiting the plant. So that was given as a tea. And then the other one was for somebody that, the chances were real good for recovery, and they needed a tea to encourage their body to recover. And so teas were very, very useful in the battlefield, and from that there's a couple of drugs that came out of the 1800s as well. But basically, it was because of the battlefield, and a lot of developments, a lot of technological developments, a lot of other things have come because of battles. But anyway, just remember that from the War of 1812, there was a specific tea that was made. It's still available, actually, in different formats now, but it's still available because it was so useful. It was an immediately effective for somebody while you're in the battlefield, and it was easy to get. You could make a tea and give it to them with a little hot water or whatever, even just cold water. But it didn't taste good. Just tell you that it's not something that you want to put on your roster of things that you might want to do. It had a very, very, very distinct taste. But anyway, just interesting. So teas have been a big part of our life, whether or not we drank it or not. It's still a big part of our life.
Yeah, it's really, really spectacular, and I really appreciate the new research that's being done to support us really understanding that we can work with our bodies, and I think that's one of the big things that all of us really want to focus on. We want to do everything that we can to support our body being really healthy, and one of the ways to next level that is to use a science that's been around for more than 60 years, which is called kinesiology. And when you use kinesiology, you have the ability to be able to actually communicate with your body to find out what its specific needs are. And this is something that I actually do with clients in the treatment room, and I encourage them to do a self-check once every quarter, just like you would with a business, to check and see what nutrients, supplements, food, hydration, whatever it is that your body actually needs, so that you can be working with it through each season change. And if you're proactively doing that and giving it what it needs, then your body is always being supported. I was actually having this conversation with somebody the other day because I just had a showcase, and I hosted a bunch of artists here, and we were talking about, there was one particular client who actually has had a lot of issues with food. And when she was diagnosed with the issue that she has, which causes serious digestive issues, they wanted to give her medication. And she decided not to do that, and she knew that she could be healthy, and if she listened to her body and actually learned to communicate with her body, that she could give her body what it needed to reduce the inflammation. And it was so beautiful listening to her, wisdom in knowing that she was brilliant enough to be able to communicate with herself to figure out what she needed. And she does live a healthy life, free of inflammation, and she doesn't have to be on medication for what it is that she takes. And I know so many people feel like their body is working against them, and they treat their body like an enemy, and they hate their body. I mean, so many women and men who come into my treatment room are looking at some ideal of beauty that has been sold to us by big, huge corporations, putting us in a position where we're feeling like we're not good enough. And the ideal that is sold to us is completely unrealistic because it's airbrushed and corrected by technology. So it isn't even achievable. And we're literally self-harming to be able to somehow meet this ideal that'll never happen. And then we get upset when our body betrays us and doesn't work with us. But in all reality, we were never on a path to listen to our body and understand it in the first place. We're just trying to meet some unrealistic ideal.
Yeah.
So we really should be making a paradigm shift and learning to realize that this body actually wants to be healthy. This body is doing everything that it can to support us living a beautiful life. And the only reason that we are struggling is because of the fact that we are not communicating with it and working with it. Unknowingly, we are working against it. And then when it betrays us, we get upset with it. But what we need to do is look in the mirror and be grateful for this fantastic, beautiful vessel that we have been given. And it was really interesting because I remember not long ago Alan having a conversation with me saying exactly that, and how much his body has been through and how it is still in such incredible shape, and how healthy it is with the journey that his body has been through over the last 65 years. It is absolutely miraculous when you think about a 65-year journey and that his body is still so incredibly healthy. He has absolutely no problems keeping up with a 30-year-old, and that's just miraculous. So getting to know kinesiology and learning how to communicate with the body, making sure that you really go on a journey to learn about your body and what the foundations of health truly are so that you can supplement your body with what it needs to already do what it wants to do.
That's right. That's
which is be healthy. Yeah. And then understand that we are, on a fundamental level, vibing energy. This has been scientifically proven. We are vibing energy. And if we understand that as a result of experiences throughout our life, that there is vibing energy throughout our energy body that is incongruent with the vibration of certain things that we introduce to our body, which can create allergies and dis-ease and stuff like that, all we have to do is a little bit of work to figure out what that vibing energy is, be it a trauma that we experienced or something like that, or a loss, or whatever it is. The vibration can actually be changed to create a healthy body that's vibing just the way that it's supposed to. We are so much more brilliant and capable than we believe ourselves to be.
Yeah, or the medical profession wants you to believe.
Yeah, exactly. I want you guys to really get that I struggled for more than a year and a half with my doctor when I was injured to get no answers, to get no relief. I was constantly in pain. There was no relief. And every time I went to go and see my doctor, she was writing me a prescription for symptoms of my concussion. The concussion was never dealt with. It was the sleep and the anxiety and the depression and the pain and the different things that I was dealing with that they wanted to write me prescriptions for. which never would have resolved the concussion. Nobody ever said to me, okay, so your brain got a really good knock.
Yeah, let's fix
Which
this.
means that there's physical damage, and your body knows how to heal that physical damage. So what is it that the body is composed of so that we can get more of that in the body so that it can heal itself? And then what is it that the body actually uses to heal itself so that we can get more of that? And how does the brain actually function so that we can get more of that in your body to help it function? Those questions were not asked in the doctor's office at all. Even when I was sitting in the office of a neurologist, those questions were not asked. He wrote me a prescription for a first-gen antidepressant.
Yeah.
And I was like, how does this make sense for a concussion? He's like, okay, well, so basically what a first-gen antidepressant does is it numbs the brain so that essentially you won't experience too much stimulation, so you won't have so much pain. I'm like, so you're gonna numb me. I'm gonna vote no on that, thanks. If this is the best that you can do with all of the years of education that you have, I'm just gonna say sayonara and I'm gonna figure it out myself, which is exactly what I did and why I ended up getting to know Alan, because I went to a health show and I went to every single booth and I said, what do you have for a concussion? And everybody had a lotion or a potion or a drink or a greens or a whatever that they thought was the answer that was going to help my body. But when it came down to it, the answer ended up being these candies.
Yeah.
It ended up being collagen. And when I ended up getting my hands on that, 7 days of optimizing my collagen, all of a sudden my body had what it needed to do what it already was programmed to do, what it wanted to do. I just had to give it the tools. And then you next level that, and then of course all I did was optimize my glutathione, and that next leveled it. Those two things. So I wasn't fixing the problem. My body was fixing the problem. My body was doing what it did best, and I learned how to arm it, and that's what put me on the journey to start to want to learn more about how my body functions to another level, so that I could arm it with everything that it needed to be healthy. And then of course, in learning about energy healing and energy medicine and hypnotherapy, I learned that the programs and the vibing energy that's in my body was also causing problems. And every single time I experience physical pain, you guys, every single time I experience physical pain, I go to my son and I ask him to check and see if there is anything that needs to be cleared from an energetic standpoint first. And pretty much every time when we clear the energy of the vibration that's causing the pain, it's gone like that. In an instant, I've had pain in my wrists, I've been able to clear it with energy work. I've had pain in my back, I've been able to clear it with energy work. I've had stomach pain, I've cleared it with energy work. I've had headaches, I've cleared it with energy work. And it's instantaneous. It is absolutely the first thing that I always check, because really, how long does that take? 2 minutes. It's 2 minutes and it's instantaneous. So when you learn how to support your body from a holistic standpoint and you understand how you're composed and you learn how to work with your body instead of against it, you love your body and you appreciate this beautiful vessel that you've been blessed with, then your body works with you, because it's already been trying to do that the whole time. You just had to learn how to engage with it, learn how to communicate. It's actually been talking to you this whole time. The pain, that's your body talking to you.
Yeah.
The dis-ease in the body, that's your body talking to you. And all you have to do is learn how to listen to it and learn how to talk back. And that is what kinesiology is. And that was created by a chiropractor. And what does a chiropractor do? Work with the body. Their doctorate is in studying the body and how to realign the body so that it's flowing and doing just what it's supposed to be. And any time that it's out, a chiropractor specializes in balancing everything so that it's flowing just the way that it's supposed to be. And one brilliant chiropractor realized that he could use kinesiology to actually help with that process. And then another brilliant chiropractor, Dr. Bradley Nelson, who I absolutely love and respect, realized that 90% of the time when his clients were coming in and they were complaining about pain, it was linked to emotion. Not 50%, not 20%. 90% of the time when clients came in and they were complaining about physical pain, it was emotion. So when he adjusted them and ignored the emotion, it was only a matter of time before they were back. And when he figured out what was going on and he sourced the emotion and he helped them to clear it, they cleared it, he assisted them in doing so, they went back out and they actually experienced results because the vibration that was in the body that was causing the body to create pain to let them know that they had that vibration in the body was gone. So there was no need for there to be pain. So the answer is in doing what Alan and I are on this journey to do. Learn as much as we possibly can about how the body functions.
Yeah, and give it the tools that it needs. And so just to wrap up, just on Synesian cells, we are going to keep you informed. This is brand new research. We're going to keep you informed as to what's available because there really isn't anything significant on the market at the moment. We're still working with the drugs. We won't be promoting them, I can tell you that. But step one is you can definitely optimize your glutathione. That will put you a long way ahead. If you like black tea is something that you could drink. And you know, we'll keep you up to date on the other things as they come available. But
we also want to talk about menopause. We promised that we were going to do that.
Well, we're long.
Yeah, but we want to answer everybody's questions.
So
menopause is something that so many people struggle from, and it's in the forefront of my future. And what I really want to support you understanding is that if your wife is struggling, optimizing her glutathione is absolutely one of the key factors in supporting her body, because what's really amazing that we learned about glutathione is that it's an adaptogen.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, so the other thing that's really helpful in menopause is adaptogenics. So rhodiola, there's a formulation that's I'm helping put together right now of adaptogenics, and that should be available very, very soon, and it's targeted right towards that, because adaptogenics is what your body needs at that time. There's so many things that are, just a little kilter out one day, and the next day they're fine, or in the next minute, the next hour, things go up and down. And so what adaptogenics will do is go into your body and they even those things out. So just stay tuned on that. There is a formula that I helped put together on adaptogenics, and then
in the meantime, though, I would really, really highly suggest that that if she's not taking this system, that she absolutely do that. Because if if your cells are properly hydrated, the cells are communicating using water. That's incredibly important. Dehydration plays a huge role in dis-ease in the body. And when you drink, if you take 1 capsule of this and you put it in a liter of your filtered water, it's the equivalent of drinking 4 liters of water. And this particular product is specifically geared towards the health of cells. And remember too that optimizing your glutathione is also gearing your body towards health, because the cells are healthier when you optimize your glutathione, because you're dictating healthier mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell. So the new cells that are going to be created are going to be more youthful, healthier cells, and then they're going to be communicating better because of the fact that you're properly hydrated. That's one of the things that's causing so many problems in women who are aging, is the lack of communication cellularly and cellular health, right? So, and then if you look at the triazyme, the digestive enzymes, that's an incredibly important thing too. We understand that a lack of gut health is related to so many health issues. I didn't even realize that it was actually going to help me from a vanity standpoint, because when I started taking the products, I experienced that I had a little bit of psoriasis on my scalp, and it completely went away. And then I had the bumpies on the back of my arms, and they went away, which was absolutely miraculous. So your gut health and your body's ability to be able to absorb nutrients is absolutely imperative to your body's health, because if it's not able to absorb the nutrients that you're eating, well, then it's not going to turn into eyeballs and hair and all of the things that it needs. So first and foremost, the best thing that I would absolutely recommend is that you get on the VPROX, get her on the VPROX system. And the link to that is actually on our Facebook page. You can just hit the Shop Now button, and if you use the code TGA10, all capitals, in the coupon code, you'll actually get 10% off. So
TGA
that's
and the number 10.
TGA and the number 10. So that's a really great way to, help support her on the journey that she's on. And as soon as anything else becomes available, like the adaptogens that he was talking about, we will absolutely let you know. But when it comes to aging smart, one of the absolute best things that you can do is optimize your glutathione, because it is the protector of life.
Yep.
Don't forget that. And it's the master antioxidant. These are huge claims. And we are absolutely proud to make these claims because there is so much to back that up. This was discovered in 1888. It was discovered an incredibly long time ago. So it's absolutely spectacular. So, hold on a second, sorry. Darlene Harper is asking, what's the name of the bottle? I missed it earlier. I know it's hard to read. It's Une Vie. The creator of the product is French. So the name is Une Vie. So it's a spectacular water. What they've done is they've processed it so that your cells receive this significantly more easily. And it really ups your hydration levels. So basically you're taking just this little cap of water and you're pouring it into your water bottle. You are not going to be drinking this by itself. So what I do is
it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it'll really stimulate you. So I take this cap full of water and I pour it into my 1 liter of filtered water. Now it's really important to mention this because a lot of people have fluoride and chlorine, and we have all sorts of leftover pharmaceuticals and everything like that in your water. And if you're putting something in your water that's actually going to support your cells receiving this hydration a lot better, you're actually going to all of a sudden be creating a carrier agent for all of these pharmaceuticals and everything else into the cells. So please filter your water, and then you're going to take this capful and you're going to pour it into that filtered water, and 1 liter equals the equivalent of 4 liters of water. So this is really next level in your hydration, and there isn't a health issue that isn't affected by hydration, obviously. We all need to be getting more water in our system. So this has been one of the huge things that I've noticed that has really helped me living in Vancouver, because we have not gotten a lot of rain this winter at all. I can count on one hand the amount of rainy days that we've had, which is really weird for Vancouver. And all of my clients that have been coming in have had spectacularly flaky skin, and have all been complaining about having an itchy nose. They're like, it feels like there's a bunch of little hairs around my nose and I'm really itchy. I'm like, it's called dehydration. We actually don't know what it's like living in a rainforest. So this is actually one of the things that has really, really supported me being in a place where my skin is actually incredibly moist and happy. I exfoliate and I moisturize as well. There's no two ways about it. I use my skincare. But Une Vie is what you're looking for. And Darlene, if you're interested in the product, you can just hit the Shop Now button on our Facebook page, and it'll actually take you to the website. And there's lots of great information on the website specifically about the product, and doctors that back it up and endorse it and stuff, so you can check that out. So we have 1 more week?
Yeah, next week will be, and then I'm gone for 2, but it's Christmas time, because the next week is the 24th.
Yeah. So we will be on next week, so feel free to look out for us. And I know that there was somebody that was actually saying that she had invited some people to join us on the Facebook page that were dealing with information, and we really appreciate any of you guys who invite people to learn more from us. I just wanted to mention that this information is all open source. You can hit the share button and it will work. I also do download the Facebook lives and then put them on our YouTube channel, which is just Glutathione Authority. So if you have any friends that you want to share this information with that are outside of the Facebook world, you can just take the link off of our YouTube page and share it that way as well. We're super grateful for each and every one of you guys, and thank you so much for all of the amazing questions. We are absolutely happy to go back and do a little bit more research and learn more about certain things that might be stumping us. Darren, thank you so much. And we'll see you the same day, same time, same place next week, 6:30 Pacific Standard Time, Monday nights. Love each and every one of you, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.